Good afternoon and welcome to the Return Homestead. My name is Mike and my wife Marty and I homestead 6 acres in northeastern Kentucky. Today we're back in our laundry room. We're trying to get this thing finished up. We've had a lot of requests from folks wanting to see the finished product. We've got a few more shelves. Marty's gotten those things stained. We're going to get those things hung up and show you how this all finishes out. Well, that's the plan anyway. We're not actually going to get to the shelving in this video. We're going to be hung up dealing with the lighting. And it is running a little bit late in the day to be starting a project like this, hanging shelves. But we've had quite a few requests from folks wanting to see the finished product on the laundry room and also on the shelves themselves. So Marty's been working diligently on those all morning. We got everything ready to go. It's late in the evening here, but we've still got enough sunlight. We're going to go ahead and get these things hung up. Part of finishing up the laundry room is not just getting the shelves up, but also getting some trim around the bottom edges. We didn't go out and buy trim. Typically we would just go out and buy the trim that we would need for the bottom of the walls. But some of the other projects we've been working on forced us to have to remill some lumber. So we cut down some 2x4s. And in the process of doing that, I was able to take a 1/4 inch off of each of the edges of the 2x4, and we're going to use that for trim. It's a kind of a quick and easy way to get some inexpensive trim up on the wall. It'll at least seal the bottom of the wall. Won't cost us a whole lot of money. It's an easy way to do it too. If y'all watched any of our remodel videos that we did at the previous property, you'll remember I used those cheap screws all the time. I was always using the really inexpensive wood screws. They came in 2 and 2.5 inches, and I just used them for everything. And we could get a box of 2,000 of those for little to nothing. I've been spending a little bit more money in getting the ready-to-go deck screws. The reason I'm using the deck screws is I hate dealing with the cam mounts on those Phillips head screws. And these have the T25 Torx head, the star-shaped bits that go in them. So those don't cam out. Everything stays nice and tight. And I've been buying boxes and boxes of these things anywhere from 4 inches down to 1 5/8 inches. So I've been using them for everything. And I've got to get some tools and bring those in. But before we can even get there, we've got to get a fire started. Y'all, it is not warm today. It's definitely springtime. It's supposed to be warm. We have a freeze warning on the way. Had a frost warning last night. We did get a heavy frost, and tonight we're expecting an actual freeze. Let me show you what we've had to do to the garden. Fuzzy crew met me coming around the corner. It's late in the afternoon, so they're expecting their daily rice ration, but I think they're probably telling me they are out of water. So let me get some water for these guys real quick. So these guys have probably been without water for a couple of hours. And they let me know as soon as I came around the corner here to the backyard. So take a look at the garden behind me here. You can see we've had to do a lot of work. Marty and I were scrambling around looking for sheets and tarps, buckets, solo cups, anything we could come up with to cover any of the frost sensitive plants that we already had in the garden. See, we were expecting spring, and May 1st is supposed to be our last frost date. It is now May 2nd, and we've got a freeze warning. This is definitely not what we were expecting in the garden. We've done what we can to protect these sensitive plants. Hopefully these things are gonna make it through this little bit of cold weather. We'll get them uncovered, get them back growing again tomorrow. We just laid some sheets out over the few green beans that had already come up. These should have been up by now, but the ground really hasn't warmed up yet, so we may end up having to replant those green beans again. Corn's only barely come up in some places, and again, the ground's just really not warm enough for it. It's supposed to have warmed up already, and it hasn't. So we'll just wait and see what happens with the corn. Strawberries, eventually we'll get some straw in on top of these things. They're not quite large enough yet. So we're just trying to cover the tops of them, keep the frost off, keep the ice off of them. And the same is true of all these other frost sensitive things. Cucumbers, squash, peppers, tomatoes. We're just trying to keep everything warm. Now we did build these beds with the expectation of being able to build some covers to go over these things. So that's why they have posts at the end that would support any kind of a cover that we might want to build and put over this. We just didn't get around to building any covers yet. So we were doing makeshift here. Just throwing buckets over the top of tomatoes and peppers that were already in the ground. Stretching sheets across beds where we could. And then covering up all the potatoes. Luckily, these things were already in buckets, so it was really easy to just put some cardboard over the top, get them covered up for the evening. So hopefully these are going to survive this late season, unseasonable weather. And I'm going to grab some tools and we're going to get back inside and get those shelves hung up so we can get that laundry room finished up. But I just wanted to comment on this weather. You know, we've been paying really close attention to it. I've been talking quite a bit about what's going on in the skies over our heads, and the weather's just not what it's supposed to be. We've noticed and have actually heard several reports about the wind in our area. Of course, we're new to this area. We didn't know exactly what to expect, but we've heard from folks that are authorities on this, and they're saying that, yeah, the wind is blowing way too hard and way too consistent. We had a difficult time just trying to get sheets and stuff on the garden last night. The wind is blowing much harder than it should be and blowing much more steadily than it should be. We've also been paying attention to what's going on in the rest of the country. We're noticing even in Florida, they've had some really serious extreme weather down there this year. They've had cold weather that they had to deal with, followed by a drought that they had to deal with, followed by excessive rain that they're now having to deal with. So just keep your eyes open. Pay attention to what's going on in the skies above you. So we're starting with the floor. So we're going to start at the bottom and work our way up. I just want to get the trim around the base of the wall, and then we'll head up top. So we got 31 inches there. Get this one other measurement here behind the dryer, and then I'll show you what this trim is that we're going to be working with. So for molding, all I'm using is strip off of a piece of 2x4. So we were making some stakes to go in on the trees. And when we were remilling some 2x4s in order to make those stakes, and Marty said, well, hey, can you grab me some trim off of that? So that's what we did. We just cut a 1/4 inch off the edge of each 2x4 before we cut them in half to make the stakes. And so we have all of this trim that's ready to go. We don't need to paint it or anything like that. It's going to be down on the floor. It's going to cover the gap, and that's all it's intended to do. All right. And as often happens when we're doing remodel stuff, there's something I forgot to deal with. That's this light fixture that's up here. So this light fixture is definitely not the right one for lighting this room. That's the reason why everything is so dark here in the laundry room. These lights should not be on the wall. To do a laundry room, the lights should be up in the ceiling. There should be at least 3 of them. That's good. But they should be 100 watts or better. These are definitely not. These wall sconces just don't hold enough light in order for this to light up a laundry room. Good news is we have some leftover track from when we did the new lighting up in the kitchen. So we've got a 4-foot section of track here, and I also have the box I need to plug this up so I can set this track up. All we need to do then is to get some light fixtures that would snap into it, and we'd be able to spread some light out from the ceiling and direct that light down to where we need it here on the ground. Unfortunately, I don't have all the parts to do that. I'm going to need a little piece of wire. We're going to need an electrical cover to go over this box when I take this lighting fixture out, and those 2 things we're going to have to run to the store and get. We don't have those for today. So we're going to put everything on hold. We are going to finish this video up, but it's going to take us one more day to get that done. So bear with us. We'll be right back once we got all these parts, and we'll get this thing all finished up. We'll show you what we do with the lighting. So y'all can see from all the shadowing on my face that this light just really isn't sufficient. We did run out to big box store and we got the stuff that we needed to fix this. We still have 4 foot of track left from when we did the kitchen, and we're just going to utilize this track. What we're going to do is take the electric wire that's behind this light, pull it back up through the top of the wall. So we'll put a small hole in the wall here, and then we can run the track right along this beam. That'll give us some place to mount 3 new lights that'll be up above. There'll be nice bright floodlights that'll put plenty of light down here on the bottom. And all of a sudden you'll be able to see here in the laundry room where you can't right now. So just bear with me. So y'all have seen me do this kind of electrical stuff before. I'm not going to stop and explain what it is that I'm doing, but just have a look and watch to see how this operation goes. With the box out of the way, we can at least see which direction the wire goes, and it just goes over to the right hand side there, almost straight to the right. I'm not sure we're going to have enough wire to just be able to pull that up top, and I don't want to take the chance of losing the wire inside of the wall because finding it again could be really difficult. So we'll probably just pull a new wire down from up top. We'll put that box back on here and just leave that as a junction box. So we'll hide the junction inside of the wall there. So this is a little bit more complicated than I had hoped for. When I get up here to look past this beam, this OSB is mounted to what looks like a interior wall. So someone built a wall and stood it up underneath these beams. So I've got a top plate that I've got to deal with here. And I also want to grab a stud finder and just check and see where these studs are. Make sure I'm not putting a hole right over the top of one of the studs. Y'all, this is one of the reasons why we don't want to do any more reconstruction or remodeling. This stuff is nerve-wracking because I've got to put a hole in up here in order to make any progress. But putting that hole in may tell me that I cannot pull this wire up to this point at all. Or that to get it up here, I've got to put a hole further down. And then we end up with multiple holes in the wall. And I still got to get the wire up top here. So this could get complicated really fast. But in the end, all you can really do is drill the hole, see what happens. And of course, whatever we break, we can fix it. So it's not that big a deal. We'll make it right. Hey, if you're a homesteader like us and you do your own work, sometimes you just have to do what you have to do. I did not have anything I could use to saw through this. We do have an all-in-one tool, but all of the blades I've got for it are way too dull to cut this OSB. So I finally just had to use a drill bit and hack my way down until I found the bottom of that 2x4. Tried drilling in from the top and was unsuccessful in drilling down at a sharp enough angle to get through the bottom. So went ahead and drilled the hole, got it where we needed it so we can get the wire pulled in, and we'll trim this thing up. You won't even know it happened. All right, so we're now ready to pull some wire through. Y'all, we tried to shoot what I was doing to get the fish tape down through the wall, but it's a very difficult thing to do to fish this thing back out of the wall. So I just wanted to explain to you what we did. So I ran the fish tape in from the top. Once I got a hole low enough that I was below that 2x4, I could get the fish tape through. I could then look through this hole and I could see the fish tape on the outside wall, which is just concrete outside of here. Normally you're going to have insulation and stuff in here. We don't because we're below grade here, so it's just concrete wall back there. And all I did was take a piece of copper wire, made a little hook, reached in and hooked the thing and pulled it back out of the hole. Now this is really difficult, tedious work. It does take quite a bit of patience. But I promise you, if you work at it, you can reach in there and grab that fish tape and pull it through. And now all we need to do is secure the wire to the end of the fish tape. And there's several different ways that I have seen this done over the years. And the most effective one I have found is just to wrap a bunch of electrical tape around this thing so that you get a good tight fit. So I want to get a lot of tape on here. We're not only trying to hang on to the wire, but we're also making sure we don't have any sharp edges that can get caught coming out the hole at the top either. That was only a 1/2 inch hole that I drilled, so it's going to be a tight squeeze getting this thing out the other side. Once we got this all taped up, it's just a matter of making the pull. We just got to pull the fish tape back through and let the wire chase itself up.
lot of praying.
Yep, now things get a little bit wiggy. So now we got a nice big knot of electrical tape and wire and fish tape here. Just want to gently wiggle that on through the hole. We got our new electrical wire in place. Okay. All right, so now that we've got the wire in place, I can lay it back inside of this OSB. Then all I've got to do is take a piece of 1x, cut it to fit, just a rectangle, and just nail that up to the wall. That's going to cover that up. It'll match up with the beam. Eventually, we're probably going to come back in here and trim these beams out anyway. These haven't been trimmed out, so this is kind of rough up here around the edges of the beam. So we're probably going to clean that up anyway. So this little extra piece of trim to cover the wire, giant hole that I had to cut to get the wire in, that's not going to be that big a deal. Good.
Break it, you fix it.
So this is what I'm going to use to trim this out. And you'll notice I've made a mark here at 4 inches. That's going to give me enough board here to be able to cover up that nasty hole I made in the wall. And then I'm just cutting out a 7/8 of an inch circle. And this is going to give me, once I cut across this line, it'll give me a tight gap where my wire can fit into the box it needs to go into. So this is going to give me my wire management as well as giving me my trim to cover up that mess I made. So this is the piece that I end up with. And you can see there's just enough of a gap here for the wire to get pulled into that box. That's going to keep everything nice and tight up top. So there we go. That's how it fits. That will hold the wire in place. So we've got some wire management. We're also trimming up the hole. We'll get around to trimming up the outside edges of these beams at some point. Like that. Okay. So we've got all of our wiring done now. I went ahead and put the track in. We've got that wired up here, and we've made our connections here inside of the wall. I did put the metal box back in the wall. That's just, it's safe. Anytime you've got a junction of wires, you want to have that inside of a sealed metal box. That's going to make sure that if there's any arcing, you're not going to get a fire outside of that box. So that's going to keep it safe. We do need to get the plate to go over the top of it. When we were in the big box store buying all the things we need for the lighting track, they happen to be out of the 4-inch round covers. So we still got to get one of those. Marty will probably paint a nice design on it before we put it up on the wall. But this is all done. All I need to do is hang the lights in the track, get the cover on the end of the track there so that the wiring's all covered up. And this will be finished. We'll be ready to hang the shelves. And you can see what a difference lighting makes. This is huge. So again, we've only got 3 light fixtures, just like we had before, but instead of that little wall sconce, we've got them up above our head. They're nice big floodlights. They're nice and bright. So we've got plenty of light coming down onto everything here in the laundry room. No more missing socks because they got lost in the laundry. But installing this track lighting has been similar to installing it in the kitchen. We had a lot of difficulty with that, having to tweak things and move them around a little bit to get them to work correctly. Same problems here. We finally did get everything up and we got it working. And that's about all we're going to be able to handle for today. We've mentioned it many times in our remodel videos. You got to know when to say when. And when you're getting frustrated and tired, it's not time to press on. It's time to pull the plug for the day. We'll come back at this tomorrow. I don't want to be in the middle of trying to hang a shelf and realize suddenly while I'm holding it up there that I'm too tired to do so. We do appreciate you joining us on the Return Homestead today. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, would you do us a favor and just open that window up and subscribe? While you've got the window open, hit the thumbs up icon to let the algorithm know you enjoyed the video so they'll share it out with more people. More importantly, if you wouldn't mind, share this video out somewhere on your social media. Surely you know somebody who could use a little extra lighting in the laundry room and could really take advantage of a video that encourages them to get out there and do it for themselves. Share this video out with them so they'll begin to understand their need to return to the land, return to labor, and return to life. And we'll see you next time.